Hello there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of Jedi Knights. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joining me once again for our first time recording at actual night.
Whoa, Jedi Knights at night.
Yeah.
After hours.
What do you know?
Shout out Daylight Savings.
Yeah. Mike Connors, how you doing?
Good, thanks for having me.
We have a lot of content to talk about today.
Yeah, we have more reviews than just an episodic Star Wars movie, so.
The Star Wars season has begun.
Yes.
And
As a podcaster that I can't remember his name on the spot, they said, begun the streaming wars have.
Sure. Okay. That's a good one.
Ken Knapsack, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
On the mixer today, Pat Maroney.
That was in the middle of a burp. Sorry.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, I'm well. We have a lot to talk about. Like I said, you have very nice ways to watch these movies now.
I know.
Disney Plus has arrived, and we're going to get into that. Before we get into any of that, though, as always, we're going to play a little game called Fire the Cannon, where I write up a tweet-sized recap of a piece of Star Wars lore, maybe sort of canon still, maybe not canon. We talk about it, decide if it's worth bringing into the new expanded universe. Today is one of the first pieces of like expanded universe stuff, specifically characters that I learned about. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Sure.
Mara Jade, also known as Mara Jade Skywalker.
Is this Luke's wife?
Yes.
Ah, I got it.
Yeah, good job. So Mara Jade was the hand to Emperor Palpatine. She was his master assassin. After the Emperor died, she went rogue and became a smuggler, going on to be very successful as a smuggler. I believe she almost became like the head of the Smugglers Guild. Her final task from Sheevy was killing Luke Skywalker in service of the Emperor, and she fulfilled it from a certain point of view by killing Luke Skywalker, who we did bring up on this program in the past.
That's Luke with 2 U's, right?
It is. Jade gave up her ties to the Empire, learning the ways of the new Jedi Order, and marrying Luke Skywalker.
Was she Force sensitive?
I believe so.
Oh.
She was trained by Palpatine to be a Jedi assassin, like a secret apprentice, kind of.
So she was like an Inquisitor before.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
I guess
after.
the idea of Mara Jade just existing as, I guess, Luke's significant other, being a partner to build up the new Jedi Order, and kind of, I guess, proving again that people can be redeemed from the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main encompassing factor of Mara Jade from my familiarity.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of puts the whole like Jedis can't marry people or have kids like on its head.
Yeah.
A little bit. And from what I understand of the expanded universe, that like the Jedi Order that existed after Return of the Jedi was definitely not the same as it was.
Yeah, and I think this is something that I have written down for when we talk about Empire today, but I think Luke, now more than ever in hindsight with where we've seen his character go, I think I look at him in a different way as a character that is great because he kind of like sheds what it means to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And forges his own path.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Mara Jade and kind of his back and forth with her, I guess she kind of comes into the fold as like the 4th member, I guess 5th because Chewie, of the original group.
Right.
You know? So as far as like, I guess, fleshing out the in-between years for 6 and 7, if Mara Jade does exist, if in canon Luke did have a wife, and in the expanded universe she passed away, her nephew killed her, do we think that Mara Jade should return should they decide to flesh out Han, Luke, and Leia in, say, an animated series, Rebels or Clone Wars style?
Yes, I think that, we need to get away from that former like Jedi Order like dogma that was in the prequels and stuff like that, and sort of introducing that idea of like a gray Jedi almost. We kind of did that. They did that with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Pretty well. But having Luke Skywalker marry another Force-sensitive person, perhaps even have children with that person, it's possible. We don't know really what happened between 6 and 7.
Right.
That much.
Yeah, and as we see with Mandalorian, we're going to begin to break the ground there.
Yeah.
So Mara Jade, do you think, like, as far as the concept of her, do you think that's interesting? Like, is she worth bringing in as it stands, the way I pitched it?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought she was a cool character. I also thought that the expanded universe characters that Han and Leia like their children,
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were cool too.
Yeah.
So I'm all for Mara Jade.
Awesome. Yeah, I am too. I think it would be cool to see her, again, sort of get the perspective of redeeming yourself from the dark side and then actually doing something.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think that'd be an interesting character to explore.
Yeah, let's not fire the cannon.
Make it canon.
Make it canon.
Make it canon.
Stamp of
MIC.
Can I also? I've kind of like I'm familiar with this character. I spent a lot of time like my sophomore year of college just going through all of the EU like explained comics on YouTube, and I kind of did some research on it while you were talking. She was written by a guy named Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he is basically the one that he controls all approval of her through Lucasfilm.
Interesting.
So if they kind of go forward and say, hey, we want to put her into the story,
Mhm.
they could have already done that for all we know.
Yeah.
He's the one that can say yes or no, but he wants to like hold out for the fact he's like, it's got to be a generic organic spot to fit her in, and she has to have like a significant role in the story.
I mean, that makes sense because if my memory serves, he's also the creator of Thrawn.
Yeah, so he wrote Heir
Yeah.
of the Empire
Right.
in that trilogy,
Mhm.
and now he's currently writing the current Thrawn trilogy.
And Thrawn is in Rebels.
Thrawn is in Rebels, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we could see Mara Jade.
Yeah.
And also looking at like the concept art of her, not the concept art, but what comic art has been made of her. Throwback to Excelsior, like Becky Lynch would be perfect for this character.
I could see it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with who that is, so.
She's a wrestler,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
an Irish wrestler.
Yeah, okay.
The Irish lass kicker.
Like a WWE wrestler?
Yeah, WWE
Yeah.
wrestler.
Okay. All right.
So that does it for our little game, but this week, Disney Plus has arrived.
What's that?
Disney Plus is an app that you can get on every single device except the Nintendo Switch.
Are we sponsored?
No,
Should be.
that'd be nice.
Could be, yeah.
We've done 2 Disney review series at this point.
Yeah. It's basically free publicity, not that, like they need it.
Yeah.
but Yeah.
10 I get that it's free accounts, but like 10 million subs in one day launching in one territory.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I don't even know that stat.
yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it was also free.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
free, but like people are still signing up, you know,
Yeah.
and they have me for a year. Like I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not gonna be having this thing next November, you know.
Was it what, 99 for a year?
It's $70 for a year, yeah,
Yeah.
or $7 a month, I think.
It's 7.
7 a month, yeah.
So, not too bad for like the catalog. I think I browsed a little bit before we get into the Star Wars talk. All of us have it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You watch anything special on there?
Well, I started kind of watching Rebels a little bit. Like
Nice.
after I watched the first episode of The Mandalorian, I was
Mhm.
like, let's just take a look.
Nice,
So I started watching that.
nice. Pat, what about you? Did you check anything out on there?
I have yet to. I tried to get my roommates into The Mandalorian, and we just ended up watching Free Solo. So
Free Solo. I still have to watch that. I want to very badly.
it's it's one of the most anxious movie viewing experiences you'll have.
I love a good documentary.
Yeah.
I watched the first thing I did because I woke up and I had things to do that day, so I didn't want to dive into The Mandalorian at like 10 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched 3 episodes of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon series.
Nice.
That thing is good.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's cheesy.
You know, they have like that bundle, right? You can get Disney Plus, Hulu, and like ESPN, right?
Yeah.
That's a really good deal.
If I didn't have the Hulu Spotify student thing,
Right.
I would probably get the bundle.
Yeah. I don't have Hulu, but I just like steal from my friend. But it's not really stealing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So there is a little bit of news to talk about this week. It's going to be lighter news because we have 2 things to review this week. Disney Plus, I'm sure you heard this, is the first time we can watch the original trilogy in 4K.
Mm-hmm.
4K HDR. A little bit of fun, interesting facts about this. Pablo Hidalgo updated the Star Wars fandom on Twitter about like what the reasoning is behind this, like how this exists. So do you remember, I believe around the time of the Disney purchase, they were like, hey, every like other month, we're re-releasing every Star Wars movie in 3D.
Oh yeah, they did it with Phantom Menace, and then they just never did it again.
And they stopped. I actually saw Phantom Menace in 3D.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Phantom Menace.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was the first time I saw a live-action Star Wars movie on screen.
was
Really?
a polished turd.
Yeah, because I didn't see Revenge of the Sith in theaters.
We've talked about this, yeah.
So what they did was they took the original masters of the film and gave them the 4K treatment. I don't know enough about how it actually works, but they did do a 4K remaster of the original trilogy without the CGI. Then they re-added the CGI. They redid a few of the CGI elements. Lightsabers, they got redone. So remember how we were talking about how you can see like the missing frame and like Luke's lightsaber is kind of just white?
Did that get fixed?
I don't know if the missing frame is fixed, but it is very clearly a blue lightsaber now.
Oh, good. Okay.
So they changed that.
They also added.
We're getting there.
Okay.
They also I think they redid CG Jabba in that encounter with Harrison Ford.
Oh, in A New Hope.
In New Hope, yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. On
Me either.
Disney
I
Plus.
meant to hop into it, but I didn't get a chance. I did see on Twitter people sharing the lightsabers at least. Lucas oversaw this, so this wasn't a Disney call. Everything
Really?
we're talking about here is something that Lucas approved in like 2012, whenever that initiative to release season 3D happened.
That's really interesting, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking so Disney just bought 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Why didn't we just get like a remastered version of like the original cut?
Because I'm sure they're saving that for a $100 collection of just the original trilogy.
I will buy it.
Sure.
Whatever it is.
I don't know if I've ever seen the original, like unaltered.
Oh, like the original, like
Yeah.
the theatrical release.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. I may have seen it like one time,
Yeah.
but it wasn't mine.
Right.
Yeah,
I've seen all of them.
yeah. Well, you have the despecialized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
My Star Wars knowledge isn't too deep. Was Jabba always portrayed as a puppet, or in those original cut versions is he the human that we were talking about last episode?
So they shot it as Jabba being a human, but that was cut, and then Jabba never showed up until episode 6.
Okay.
So that scene with Han and Jabba talking, that never existed until like the 90s, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't
okay.
until like the 97 special edition.
Right. As you were alluding to,
Yeah. Sorry. I jumped ahead.
Maclunkey.
Maclunkey.
I have that in bold. I normally just bold like the titles of what topics we're talking about, but
Yeah.
I bolded Maclunkey.
What's up with that? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the purpose?
So somebody actually was like defending it, and I think it was interesting.
Okay.
So you know how the Hutts control Tatooine?
They also like control that entire region of space.
Yeah, so they they own Tatooine. Like the Empire, they have a presence, but like it's the Hutts. Because of that, everyone on Tatooine knows a little bit of the Hutt language.
Huttese.
Huttese. Okay, I wanted to make
Yes,
sure I
it's
knew what it was.
Huttese.
Okay, they know a little Huttese. So I forget what Maclunkey means.
I do know it.
Okay, what is it?
It means something along the lines of like, this will be the end of you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the reason he says it is because that's since he was sent by Jabba to kill him. That's like the last word from Jabba.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so you know who's here.
Right.
Um,
Sebulba says
That's, yeah.
Maclunkey in Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with this. It's dumb, but like,
I just don't get why. Like, it's just like the scene is already ruined.
I think it was just George Lucas trolling.
I
he's
mean,
like-
good for him.
He's like, I can do one more thing.
You do the best George Lucas impression.
Thank you. I try. But yeah, like that scene in general, I like it's already its own like weird thing now. So like adding something like that to it, like it doesn't take away from it, you know?
No, it doesn't. I would like to see every time they re-release this movie, like on any, like say they did like a box set.
Yeah, you can just see every version.
Well, yeah, but I also just want them to keep adding like one
One
more
more.
thing to that scene. Like just
Yeah.
another little thing to that scene.
See, I kind of think it's interesting. Like I know people have issues with everyone like George Lucas adding things all the time, but I kind of would have been a little upset if this version of the films didn't have one thing in there,
Yeah.
just because it's like tradition at this point.
Honestly, yeah. It kind of like goes to that larger argument of like, should art be like altered after it's released? Sort of like
Yeah.
people talk about that with Kanye West and stuff, how he
Yeah.
like changed Life Pablo a bunch. I don't want to get into it,
Right.
but
I think it's a case-to-case thing, but like in the case of George Lucas in these films, at this point, it's part of it, you know? For me, at least.
plus he's George Lucas. He could do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So if we do want to start like shifting the public opinion to be like Han Solo isn't really a bad guy, which seems like that's why they had him dodge, and Greedo getting in a final word, like, okay, you know, it's not how I think of it, but if that scene's there, it's there.
Right.
But Maclunkey's a funny word to say.
I know. The way that I think of that scene is like Han Solo shot first, even though it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't remember if I said this on air, but like when that scene happened in the movie, I just like blinked for a longer second than normal. So
Just
it's
didn't
like,
want to see it happen.
oh, there he did it.
Yeah.
Greedo fried.
It seems like in the Disney Plus version, he doesn't necessarily shoot first or last. Seems like they both shoot at the same time.
Yeah, and I think like that's always the way I viewed it. I think it was just like the fact that they wanted to make it so. I don't know why they changed it. Was it because he was like, oh, Han isn't a terrible person? He's not just going to kill a man cold blood.
That's basically why George Lucas changed it.
So, yeah.
He thought it mischaracterized Han.
Yeah, like another thing in The Empire Strikes Back that we will get to.
All right.
Any final words on Disney Plus before we dive into this Mandalorian discussion?
What a great money grab bag by Disney.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just raking in the money on this one.
Yeah. So The Mandalorian is here, finally.
It is.
It's been a long time. Chapter 1.
Yeah. I thought the episodes would have titles to them.
Yeah, I kind of like that as chapter, though.
Yeah, me too.
Because, like, we're going along with the episode theme of, like, the Star Wars series.
Yeah.
I want to put this out there first. This is a full spoiler. Like, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Sorry.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Like,
if you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
Get it together.
Things will be spoiled for you.
Also worth mentioning, this is releasing our normal time. For your episode 2 of Mandalorian, we're going to try putting the Mandalorian review out on the Monday following the release.
Mm-hmm.
So look out for that and let us know which way you prefer.
Yeah.
But immediate impression, 1-word summary of your feelings on this episode.
One word summary on the first episode of The Mandalorian. I really am drawing a blank right here.
I got one.
Okay.
10.
10?
10.
Like 10 out of 10?
10.
Just 10.
Yes.
All right. Cool. All
right.
Yeah.
Pat, do you have a word? Do you have a word, Pat?
Oh, my word? I have 2 words.
What's up?
Space cowboy.
Sure, yeah. Space Cowboy. I can do that.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
I loved it.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get that out of the way.
Yeah, I love that they just made a Western.
Yeah, it feels like a spaghetti Western.
It is even down to the music, it is a Western.
Mm-hmm.
The OST, shout out to Ludwig Göransson. He did Black Panther.
He did.
Great choice. Great music. Really adds to it. And I was impressed that in this 40-minute episode, the character that had a mask on the entire time, of how much I could like get behind him, how expressive he was without being able to show emotion.
Yeah, it's like that Darth Vader stuff. Right there.
And again, just like the overall production design, the scale of it.
It's movie quality.
It is.
It's straight up movie quality.
It really is.
Like that's something that I would expect to see like at a movie theater.
For sure. I don't remember the budget. I think it was $50 million an episode.
Really?
It might be, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
That's so much money.
But like you said, with Disney Plus, they don't have to worry about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like they can fund this. They can make Obi-Wan a 50 million episode series, you know?
I hope they make it even more.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, let's just put all the money to Star Wars.
This is one of the better looking Star Wars products I have seen visually.
Yeah.
I think as far as the films go, I guess as far as recency, in my head, Last Jedi is the prettiest looking Star Wars thing on film.
Yeah.
This is either second or third. It looks very nice.
It does look really nice.
Even the CG, I thought all the CG looked great. Nothing stuck out for me.
Everything seems like there's a really heavy emphasis on just like practical effects.
Yeah.
And I know that like in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens as well there are, but like it really comes through for me on this.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned this to me. They used that VR technique for shooting The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, they did.
So similar to Rogue One, and Favreau had experience with this on Jungle Book and The Lion King, more so on The Lion King. rendering your set like a video game, so it's a world that exists, and just have the scene playing on loop, putting a VR headset on, using a tablet to act as a camera. So you get that human element of shooting film in a virtual space, which I just think is fascinating.
Totally.
And I think it adds to it.
I think it does too. Did you think that the beginning of like the first half of this episode was like a little bit on the slower side?
Yeah, but I loved it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it was slow, but I appreciate it because I think of the pace they had, it being the first episode. I'm glad that they relied on, I guess, just the world to sell itself, because I think my biggest note, it's a masterful example of how to set the tone. I think we know exactly what kind of series we're getting now. I think that the atmosphere of it all, the state of the galaxy post-Empire, it's immediately clear by the time we get the Mandalorian title card, you know? Because there's that interaction in the bar with them looking at the bounty hunter, the lawless nature of all that entire encounter, trying to be like, I have credits. They're worth nothing.
It's kind of funny, like, when I first watched this episode, I was just like, wow, like, it just immediately like transports you to this universe. But I find it funny that like all the Star Wars movies and a lot of Star Wars media kind of like tries to do that just by like a bar scene.
Yeah.
Which is like a good way to do it because there are a lot of like different weird aliens and stuff. But
The only takeaway on life lessons I've gotten from Star Wars is don't go to bars.
Yeah.
might get your arm cut off.
Or
shot.
Yeah, or shot. Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think of the character of the Mandalorian? Doesn't have a name yet still.
Yeah.
Mando, I've seen him referred to online.
I kind of like that.
Me too, Mando.
Yeah. Just referring to the TV show as Mando.
Yeah.
But so I'm not like completely sold on him yet, personally. One thing that kind of like pushed me a little towards like, wow, like liking his the portrayal so far was that scene where he went into the Mandalorian like underground place. That just like that was the point for me that I was like, oh, like this is not going to shy away from any like crazy lore. Like this is going to go in like deep into people's characters, especially the Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I think that is another example of kind of setting the tone and really establishing the galaxy post the fall of the Empire. Because you see this civilization on this planet. The Mandalorians are like banded together. There's not many of them. I think you could count maybe like 8 in that tunnel.
Yeah, it's not
including
really
him and the blacksmith.
Yeah.
Just seeing them like that they stick together, and he's maybe like not necessarily the breadwinner, but like he's supporting them through his bounty hunts. I love that. That adds so much to his character.
Yeah, it kind of like I want to know what happened to the Mandalorians.
I'm sure we're gonna get some of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like it doesn't really answer any questions for me this first episode, but it raises so many of them, and that's what I like about it.
Wasn't it stated though in the episode that the fall of the Mandalorians had something to do with the Empire?
They said something about the Great Purge.
Yeah.
And it's unclear whether or not they're talking about Order 66 or like something that happened on Mandalore.
I think they were kind of setting a little bit of a tone there, because remember when the Empire officer was like, "Oh, see, I think that steel should be back with the people who used it the most, don't you?"
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a cool, like, if it is the case that the Empire killed all the Mandalorians, they're like, "Oh, we have all your stuff. Don't forget it."
Yeah. I think there's a lot of possibilities for the way we explore the culture at that point. I think we could very easily get whatever happened with the steel through that flashback sequence that I'm sure is going to get progressed further. I did take that line about the Purge as the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, but
personally.
Yeah, I mean it's possible.
Yeah, we know the Empire has some racism going on. They could have done another genocide of just another culture.
Oh yeah,
I mean they just smoked Alderaan.
Yeah,
like within a half hour of the first movie. So
it's true.
So
you know, the character like the Mandalorian makes a comment that he was like a foundling.
Yeah,
and I don't know what that is. but it seems interesting to me. I don't know if you like. It makes me think like, is he actually like a Mandalorian?
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that he might not be a like pure blood Mandalorian.
Do those even exist anymore?
Right. Well, to my understanding, again, I haven't watched the Clone Wars, so I don't know much about the Mandalorian as a people. Is it similar to like Thor and Asgard, where it's like it's not a place, it's a people, we welcome everybody? If it's like if you're welcomed into that group, then you are a Mandalorian.
Right. Okay.
So in the EU, I
Mhm.
did kind of a long look about 2 weeks ago into it. Mandalorians, their home world is destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
but like foundlings are Mandalorians that were off world when their planet was destroyed.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like, like it's like a reunification call, I guess.
Okay.
And do you know if their planet was destroyed through like the wars that they had with each other, or was it like some other entity that destroyed their home planet?
I believe they were like a conquering nation, which eventually led to their downfall because they made a lot of people mad
Okay.
by going out and fighting against them all.
Well, the Mandalorians are in Rebels a
Mhm.
lot, and they go through some of that.
Was there not the Mandalorian Wars?
There was the Mandalorian Wars.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like they were so like the Mandalorians. I don't want to get like too into it, but like they're divided by like house and clan and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is that why he needed a pauldron?
I don't know. But I know that like they're like a war-faring people,
Mhm.
like you said.
Yeah.
So like these different houses like fought against each other and destroyed their home planet.
And the Mandalorian Wars are like, it wasn't like it was a minor thing. It was like 300 years. And it took place on a bunch of different planets.
Okay. That's good to know. So I do hope we get a little bit of that. Just fleshing that out a little more.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like I mentioned, I think he's very expressive, despite not showing his face. I think a lot of that comes out once he gets to whatever planet he had to go to.
I don't know.
And he meets the alien guy. I've spoken.
Oh yeah, I think he's like an Ugnaught, is he?
Oh yeah, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I don't know who
I liked
that
him.
is.
Yeah, I like that guy too.
I have spoken. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot because it's such a Star Wars thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, that's his thing. That's his thing.
Yeah,
Like
he-
Yoda's talks all over the place. This guy, I have spoken after like every single sentence. That's his period.
What's the thing that they rode? It was a Blarth or whatever.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, this crazy.
It looked
stuff.
like a toad.
Yeah, it did look like a toad.
And super uncomfortable to ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like in canon, like there are no male versions of that species because the females eat them after
Yeah.
they mate.
Yeah.
Fun.
So,
Fun life.
what do we think about sort of the establishing of the state of the underworld? Carl Weathers' character, Werner Herzog's character.
Werner Herzog, I could listen to him talk
Yeah.
all day.
I saw an interview with him from the premiere for The Mandalorian. He was like, I think the question was like, what was the biggest challenge getting prepared for Star Wars? And he's like, well, I haven't seen any of the films, and I needed to get familiar with the universe to know the level of intellect of these characters. And that was it. And I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah, he also said in an interview that he was just didn't know what Jon Favreau did
Yeah.
until like he was like, hey, want to be in my Star Wars TV show?
If you haven't read an interview with him or watched one, I recommend it because they're very entertaining.
They are.
He plays Shrimply Pibbles. Is the last I've seen him, right? Are we talking about Shrimply Pibbles in Rick and Morty?
Oh, I'm not caught up in my Rick and Morty lore.
Oh, am I wrong? Am I not talking about the same guy?
I've never watched Rick and Morty, so
Sorry, Pat.
Guys.
And, like the scene with Carl Weathers too, like dealing with the exchange and like taking a bounty. He's like, hey, I can't give all of these bounties to you because the guild doesn't work that way.
right, yeah.
But there is this under the table deal.
Yeah.
Like I just love how seedy it is.
I know, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the mechanics too of like here's like this puck. Like,
Yeah.
Go find someone for me.
Is Jon Favreau a big hockey fan?
I don't know.
Because if he is, and that's how he got those in there, like that's just another like Star Wars-y thing to me. Like you know how like they always just kind of like take these things and like make them fantastical.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a hockey fan, that's what I took away from that interaction.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this hockey puck. Might
Yeah,
be
because I've never seen pucks used in Star Wars as like it's a hologram, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
It was cool. it worked.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think the additions to like the language and the way that everybody talks to each other about things in this just adds to more Star Wars, and it doesn't feel out of place.
No.
So I appreciate that a bit. IG-11?
Yeah, I was gonna say something about IG-11.
What's up?
I always wondered, like, because you see IG-11 in Empire.
That's 88.
I mean, yeah, IG-88. You see an IG unit,
Yeah.
right? And I always wondered, like, how do they do their bounty hunting?
Like, are they good?
Yeah, like, are they good? Like, I always thought that, like, in the lineup that they do, I'm like that
Yeah.
probably the worst bounty hunter.
Yeah.
But IG-11, man, like,
Ruck's shop.
yeah, he rips.
Yeah. That also gave me Western vibes, like a big shootout, like getting pinned down in a fort.
Yeah,
That gave me Red Dead vibes.
yeah, for sure.
Storming that base, that was cool.
Yeah, I know we saw IG-11 like in the promotional stuff, but seeing more of that really sold me on it.
Do you think he's like dead though? Because I think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead.
Shot him in the head.
I mean,
I know he's a robot, but
droids
like,
can come back. R2-D2 was completely messed up after the Battle of Yavin, and they managed to fix him up
yeah, true.
quite right.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know though.
I think if it is just he was a one and done, I think I like that. But like if they do bring him back, I'd be excited to see more of him.
Yeah. Do you know who voiced him?
Taika Waititi.
That was Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
A note about that encounter. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but this was something that stuck out to me.
Can I butt in real quick? I don't mean to.
What's up?
It looks like Jon Favreau is a hockey fan.
All right.
He worked with Wayne Gretzky on Swingers.
Would you look at that?
Wow.
Very insightful today.
Good job.
Speaking of being insightful.
I'm killing it over here with the facts.
I know. Yeah.
You want to talk like uncivilized weaponry? When they use the turret to mow down the door, the way that lightsabers we've seen in the past cut through a door,
that was
but
cool.
they just use the Gatling gun.
One of the coolest sequences is right before that.
Yeah.
When he grapples
it,
it and then like shoots the guy and like hops on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I love that, and I just liked that imagery because I'm like, we've seen that before, but never in this way.
Yeah.
Before we dive into what I'm assuming is the massive Star Wars spoiler
Yeah.
of the episode,
Yeah.
any other things you want to touch on?
I mean, what did you think? Like, do you think the Werner Herzog's character is like actually like an Imperial or because it seemed like the stormtroopers that were around him, like that doesn't look like that armor just didn't fit them.
Yeah. My read on it in the trailer, we talked about this, was I thought they just found Stormtrooper armor.
That's what I still think.
Yeah, and maybe they just like were pro-Empire.
Yeah.
I don't get the vibe that he's necessarily Empire or the villain of this series.
I don't know if he's the villain.
Yeah.
But it makes me kind of wonder because they had that like Imperial scientist with them.
Yeah.
That was definitely an Imperial scientist.
Yeah, for sure.
But he seemed like he was out of place almost. So I don't really know the dynamic there.
Yeah. A lot of questions this episode brings up. So I'm interested to see where his character goes for sure.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Before we get into the big spoiler, one of my favorite characters to play with in Lego Star Wars is now dead. IF-88.
What are you what?
Using the Lego Star Wars games.
This is IG-11. Different IG.
I take it back.
Oh, yo, what about the like right at the beginning? You know that thing in that alien in A New Hope that like while they're in the docking bays and stuff and it has like the
Oh yeah, the guy that looks like the plague doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him showing up. Yo.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's cool seeing things return that like we've never seen returned to again.
Yeah.
and
Well, it's
things
not him, but like that species. Yeah.
What I mean, yeah.
He was a character in Lego Star Wars, by the way. Sorry.
I like a lot of what this did as far as making it feel like Star Wars. And I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Do you think it was a little too fan servicey?
I don't think so because we didn't hang up on it too much. You know,
I would agree.
They didn't really rely on that too much.
Yeah.
So, also, the Mandalorian, as cool as he was, fell on his ass a few times. You know, like they didn't try to hide away from the fact that he wasn't an expert at everything.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was just this cool guy the entire time, then I would have been like, okay,
Yeah.
who is this Boba Fett?
Essentially.
So,
we know Boba Fett wasn't perfect at everything either.
yeah. So
R.I.P. in peace.
when they did say massive Star Wars spoiler, and because this is about a Mandalorian, I was assuming it was going to be a Boba Fett thing.
Mhm.
But
No.
Yoda,
Yeah, legit. Well, not Yoda.
well,
I
I want to have
like
like
some
what do you
crazy
think of
theory.
this? So at the end of the episode, he reaches his bounty. It's a crib, it's a cradle, and we knew beforehand. Favreau was like, it's about him taking care of a kid, and I thought it was gonna be this whiny like 10-year-old kid.
Wait, when did he say that?
Favreau said this a while ago.
Well, I missed that.
That was like the pitch for the series. It was like him transporting a kid somewhere
Whoa, really?
for the arc of the season. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So I kind of forgot about that until like
didn't
halfway
know
through this episode.
Yeah.
But cradle opens, you see the ears. It is Yoda's species, a 50-year-old.
Still infant.
Yes, because of how they age. What's our takeaway? Because the thing is, the way they framed it being a massive Star Wars spoiler makes me think that this is this is a connection to Yoda.
It's possible. I think they may, and I don't know who they is, but
Mhm.
like the internet, the ether,
Yeah.
said that this was a massive Star Wars spoiler, just because we don't know any background about like what species Yoda is.
Right. I'm pretty sure executives said this though.
Oh, really?
Like Lucasfilm people said Episode 1 has a massive Star Wars spoiler.
Okay.
So my thought process here was that this is some weird way to introduce again the world between worlds into this thing. That Yoda was born in the middle of the entire saga. The Mandalorian has to transport him somewhere, get shot back in time to 900 years ago so Yoda can grow into this master and then train Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon.
Could you imagine? That would be insane, man.
Because if they said it's a massive, like, what else is this?
yeah, that's Yoda, man.
Yeah, that's what my read on it was.
That's crazy.
My girlfriend was like, he pulled a baby Groot, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But, like, because the thing is, the reason that doesn't make sense to me is, like, if he reincarnated, did he just, like, die between now and The Last Jedi? Because he's a ghost again then.
Yeah, right.
So what is this?
I didn't consider this whole world between worlds possibility.
Yeah.
I thought that it was maybe a reincarnation of some sort, but then you're right, because he shows up in The Last Jedi and he's like 900 years old.
Yeah.
As a Force ghost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
But do you think I'm crazy? Like, do you think that's something they wouldn't do?
No, it definitely sounds something that they would do, and especially because Dave Filoni is working on this.
Right. I think he directed this episode.
He did indeed, yeah. And also, the crib was floating, which makes you think,
Force?
is this Yoda creature force sensitive?
From what I'm looking at online, Yoda's species is relatively extinct because they are extremely force sensitive.
Oh, so all of them are force sensitive.
So there's
Yeah.
no way that's not Yoda then, right? Unless like that's gonna be a big main character in a future film or something.
Could be anybody.
Yeah, it could be Yaddle too.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, they had three members of Yoda's race run the Jedi Council.
3.
It says
That was
Yoda, Yaddle, and Vandar Tokari.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I just know Yoda and Yaddle.
Yeah, he's just got concept art. He's not like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
But Yaddle was actually in Phantom Menace.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Longer hair, darker hair.
Do you think they got together?
Had a kid.
Yo,
It's 50 years old.
what's up?
What's the math here? So if the Mandalorian takes place, let's say like 5 years after, because the Empire
it
seems
does.
like relatively still freshly broken.
I think they've said it takes place 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say at that point, again, this is just me trying to do some weird math right now. Luke Skywalker by that in Mandalorian Episode 1, like 30.
Yeah.
So 50 years ago, 30, 20 years before Luke was born. And
That's like a little bit before Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Guys, I think we cracked the code.
Yoda's a kid.
Yoda has a kid.
Yeah.
Wow. With Yaddle.
The implications of this are insane.
Yeah, it's a massive Star Wars spoiler.
This could all be crushed tomorrow.
True, yeah. Episode 2 comes out the day after recording this.
Yeah.
But, like, I have no idea what else this would be if not a Yoda thing. Right?
I like, for some reason, I did not consider this whole world between worlds thing that you brought up.
Yeah.
But like, I just like cannot think any other way now.
Right?
Yeah, it kind of really just makes too much sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I called it.
Yeah, Christian,
Yeah.
you got to get on the Lucasfilm storyboard.
That's the dream, you know?
Yeah, that
Like
is
one
the
day.
dream.
I'll make some decisions.
Yeah, you could be the next Dave Filoni.
That would be a nice job.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Dave Filoni's going to end up going into film for Lucasfilm at some point, not just strictly television, you know?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, because I think, like, diversifying the director you have tied on for a Star Wars project can only make the series progress, like, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Irvin Kershner being brought on for The Empire Strikes Back.
Right. Okay.
So
That was Irvin Kershner. This is kind of an aside, but did he also like write Seven or something?
No.
He was involved with?
Lawrence Kasdan.
Oh, Lawrence Kasdan. Okay,
So
my bad.
that was my attempt at a transition. So if we're done talking Mandalorian,
I'm done talking Mandalorian.
Okay.
You've had better transitions.
I'm
Let me
sorry.
just-
I know. I know. It's a night episode. So
After
I guess like
hours.
give it a ranking. Give it a star rating out of 10. What do you think?
Out of 10?
We can do a 20-point scale.
Yeah, out of 30, I'd say. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Out of 10, like a 9.5.
I'm feeling 10 just because I love when space and westerns combine. Like Cowboy Bebop, Firefly.
Yeah.
That's my jam. So big fan.
What about you, Pat?
I give it 29,500 yodel hairs out of 30,000 yodel hairs.
Good note.
Tried to give it so 4.9 something
Okay. Out of 5?
out of 5.
Okay.
4.98.
So there we go. A
Lock it
9.5, a 9.5, a 10, and a 4.98. So look for the next episode review of Mandalorian to come out Monday once again. That'll be uploaded on the podcast feeds as well as YouTube. So we're going to take a short break, though. When we return, Empire Strikes Back. Is it really the best Star Wars movie?
Find out.
See you in a second.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Welcome back. We are now going to be talking Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 5. Whatever you want to call it.
Star Wars Episode 5, I
Yeah.
feel like it's fine.
I
Stive.
really like this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And every time I go back, I think it's better than the last time I watched it.
It literally, it gets better every time you watch it, for sure.
Starting off, I watched this on Disney Plus. I don't have a 4K TV, but looks really good.
So, like, I was going to watch all of the original trilogy movies on my despecialized edition, but then I was like, well,
Yeah, because I was curious if 5 had any changes too. None
Yeah.
that I picked up on.
Well, changes in the Disney Plus version?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I really could tell.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, though, with the despecialized edition, there aren't really many changes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably just like the movie was just too good for them to change.
Yeah. So Empire Strikes Back has a history of being a lot of people's favorite film. Many people don't know that at first it was like berated by the public. Critics liked it, but like everyone was like, "It's too dark. What happened?"
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like public reception to Empire Strikes Back was not good at the time.
Interesting.
It took like 10 years for it to become the favorite.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, that's pretty. I feel like that happens a lot with Star Wars media.
It
So.
does. That might be in a folder at some point
Yeah.
for a case.
Slowly building a case.
So Empire
honestly.
Strikes Back, right? Talk about a cold open.
Yeah. Were you oh. Oh, you.
I wrote this and I was like,
Yeah.
Well done, Christian.
Thank you. We spent 40 minutes on Hoth.
Yeah, we did. We did.
I forgot that, but it doesn't like feel like that at all.
No, it doesn't.
Flies by.
The very beginning of this movie is a little slow, I have to say.
Oh, like when Luke gets lost?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
But, I mean, it sets it up, man.
Yeah. I think that's of the time too, because like I think this movie, compared to A New Hope, we're breakneck in the first 20 minutes of this movie.
yeah. Yeah.
You know? Visually, again, just looks stunning. Like, it's so crisp. Like, again, the Disney transfer, sure, but, like, just at its core, this movie, from a cinematography standpoint, thank God they got another director.
Mhm.
Because George Lucas, again, New Hope's great, but even with the prequels, like so much of the camera work is very static and like 2-dimensional, and it's not interesting to look at. There's some dynamic camera movements in this thing, and you can tell it's a big step up from A New Hope in like every sense of the production for me.
There are a lot of like,
And not just because of the budget.
right.
So.
There. I feel like this movie more than any of the other ones like has like a very like distinct color palette.
Yeah.
Like Hoth is like all those like blues and like grays,
Mhm.
and then like Bespin is like orangey and like I don't know. That just like popped out to me.
It's one of the more visually interesting as far as, like you said, colors and diversity of the environments.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Hoth, Dagobah,
Oh, Dagobah like
lots of greens and
green,
browns.
yeah.
Bespin, oranges, blues, whites, and a lot of space travel and the Empire. So lots of like jet blacks, stark whites.
Yeah, those scenes like just feel really cold. Like whenever they're on like a Star Destroyer or like something like that.
Who do you think does cold scenes better? Star Wars as a franchise or Game of Thrones as a franchise?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I agree.
Thank you. So yeah, Irvin Kershner was brought on to direct this film. George Lucas, I read a few interviews last night because I wanted to like have something to say about this movie outside of, hey, I like it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It was interesting because Lucas was like, I was so intimidated that I just kind of wanted to sell it to Fox and just never think about it again. But it hooked him, and it just the possibilities of everything just went off. So he actually disagreed with Kershner on a lot of decisions he made. Specifically, the one I alluded to earlier in the episode was I Love You, I Know, because he's like, oh, that's not a Han Solo thing. Han Solo wouldn't do that. That's not his character.
Isn't there a bunch of debate about that though?
Well,
Like-
that was Lucas's perspective.
Oh, okay, right.
The story behind it is that they were doing that shoot a million times, and Kershner was like, I don't like how it sounds. It sounds too phoned in. And they were going to break for lunch, and Ford was like, let's do one more. And that was the one, and they were like, okay, we'll keep that.
Yeah.
So
I love that scene.
there's a lot of really cool stories that I've retained over the years about the production of this film.
Mm-hmm.
One I talked about earlier with you is the Dagobah scene.
Yeah, so you said something about the set was destroyed.
Yeah. So there's two things. One thing I learned last night, but the one I learned from, I believe, a documentary I watched on Empire, was they were doing that shoot on the Dagobah set, which they just built in a soundstage, filled it with water, and submerged that X-Wing that was made of just like plywood and like Home Depot stuff.
Yeah.
So because it was underwater, it like filled up and the wood retained so much of the water that the mechanic they had to pull it out of the water for when the force scene happens was not strong enough to lift it because of the water pressure.
Oh, interesting.
So they had like, I think like a 12-hour day or something.
Like the wood was too heavy.
Yeah. So
Oh,
like
wow.
they just could not get it to work. And whoever was being interviewed, I think Kershner was talking about it when the film was this documentary was produced. He was like, yeah, I guess it was a work of the force because we finally got it to work after so many hours, and that's the only scene, that's the one we kept.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So just like movie production's hard.
Yeah, especially in 1970.
Yeah. Because that's a big thing. An X-Wing that they built for these movies, they're big.
Yeah, I mean that's all practical too.
Yeah. So another tidbit I learned about Dagobah was Mark Hamill was very agitated because they basically made a swamp, and he thought it was hard because Kershner was like underground with the people working on Yoda to really nail that. So Mark Hamill was like, I don't have a director helping me, so I just gotta like deal with this puppet, and I don't know what it's giving me, what to give it. I think it was like a long day. He was really tired, and then Yoda was saying something to him, and all of a sudden you just hear Miss Piggy, and she just runs up on set because they like Frank Oz was like works with the Muppets and Henson, and Mark Hamill just like became hysterical, and that cheered him up.
That's cool. Do you ever see that deleted scene from The Last Jedi?
No.
And it's not a deleted scene. It's kind of like an outtake.
What's up?
It's kind of off topic, but not really.
Mhm.
So they had Frank Oz come back and do Yoda for that, right? There's like this video of like Mark Hamill taking a break, like sitting by on the soundstage, like near some like Octo, whatever, and Yoda, puppeteered by Frank Oz, like comes up behind him, and they like filmed it, and Mark Hamill had no idea, and it was the first time that he saw Yoda. and
Oh,
like
wow.
he started to like cry. And,
Oh, that's
like,
amazing. I have to
it's-
watch that.
It's pretty cool.
That sounds awesome. Speaking of Yoda, though, like every time I look at Yoda in this movie, not once in my head am I like, oh, that's a puppet.
No.
The work they did to make Yoda a character still blows me away.
Mm-hmm.
Like the intricacies of his expressions on his face, that's like masterclass puppeteering. That's so good.
I mean, it is Frank Oz.
Yeah.
So
Best the Miz.
yeah, best in the biz. Yoda's just a Muppet, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jim Henson Company like worked on this movie, did they not?
Yeah, I think they did. I want to see Yoda in Sesame Street.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
I think Mark Hamill appeared on the Muppet Show once in character. I think that's a thing you can watch on YouTube.
I think he also showed up on Sesame Street in character.
That's cool.
So yeah.
What out of the two main storylines in this movie, you have the Han and Leia and crew, and then you have Luke and Yoda.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference for either one of those? Like, do you think they both work well? Do you think one is more entertaining than the other?
Personally,
Yeah.
I think both of them work well, although like I have a preference towards the Bespin arc in like
Of like Han and Leia.
Han and Leia, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were really the storyline I found myself the most invested in this watch through, and I just feel like that's an interesting thing because like if I think it might also paint a picture of like what you look for in Star Wars, because both of us, we like the seedy stuff, right? We like the underworld kind of thing.
Yeah.
Jedis are cool, don't get me wrong with that, but like seeing that stuff explored, seeing the relationship between these two at the time, I guess, non-force sensitive people that are just falling in love
Yeah.
with a robot and a Wookiee.
They're kind of just having like regular people adventures and problems in the Star Wars universe.
Pretty regular conversation too, especially compared to everything else we watched so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the most realistic dialogue.
You got to think they were probably on the Millennium Falcon for a really long time.
Oh yeah, that was like road trip level.
Yeah, well, I mean, like their hyperdrive was broken, right? So they had to travel sublight speed from Hoth to Bespin. Which
I love the continual bit of the Falcon being a piece of junk.
Oh,
that just
I know,
does
yeah.
not work. I love that.
watch this.
It's so funny.
Watch what?
It like there's always the rule of 3 in comedy, right? They do it 4 times and it's still funny the 4th time.
Yeah, I mean they keep doing it.
Yeah.
In the
It's
new
so
movies.
good. Even when Lando gets in, he's like, "We got this." Nope.
Yeah.
Takes a second. But yeah, I really like the entire Han and Leia arc. I think that's a big standout in this movie for me.
What's your like favorite set piece from this movie?
I think I mean like I really love the visual look of Dagobah. Obviously Hoth is iconic, but I really think it's Bespin once Luke gets there. Like when Han's being escorted out, everything with Leia and Lando, and then Luke getting there.
It's like sunset kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, Hoth is cool, but, like, it's not my favorite thing. It's not even, like, top 5 for me in Star Wars moments.
Like the whole Battle of Hoth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool.
It is cool.
I don't know if it's top 5 for me either, but
I would put Scarif above Hoth.
Scarif I think is one of the best battles, like both aerial and land
Mhm.
in all of Star Wars.
I might even, we're not there yet, but I might even put Crate above Hoth.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd put Hoth above Crate.
Yeah, sure. I get it. I
think
like,
Crate's cool.
yeah, I like the color, the stark difference there,
Yeah.
and the story moments, obviously. But another thing I noted, because I think I was talking to Pat about this at work a couple days ago. There's some like a really weird crossover with like normal language and terms in Star Wars that I always forget about.
Like what?
The standout that I wrote down is when Han hops on the Tauntaun and he rides out and he's like, "Then I'll see you in hell."
Yeah.
So hell's in Star Wars.
I know. Yeah, that's true. I always like
I loved it though. That's
Yeah.
great.
that scene rules.
Yeah, it's cool. What about like you with this movie? I know you said Han and Leia is the one you prefer kind of out of this story. What about Luke? How do you feel about Luke?
I honestly was never like I was never like a huge fan of his arc in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
From ever since I was a little kid, I always thought it was kind of boring, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because he kind of just like walks around with Yoda on his back the entire time.
Is it fair to say that like nothing really happens with his arc in this movie?
Nothing really happens with Luke's arc in this movie.
Well, like in terms of the trilogy, yes. Like this is vital for his character.
Oh, I'd hard disagree.
No, this was something I thought last night. Like
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but like stepping back at it all, from when he arrives on Dagobah to when he fights Vader, I don't think he's had much growth. Because I have a couple things that I wrote down specifically that, like, obviously Yoda's giving him his wise advice, and he says, like, fear, anger, hate, all that stuff, it's easier, it's more seductive, never for attack, only for defense. In the cave and when he meets Vader, Luke initiates the fight both times.
Yeah, because he's playing around with the dark side, man.
Yeah.
I think this movie does the most to Luke's character.
Yeah, that's where I am right now. That thought occurred to me while I was watching it, because I was like, realistically, how far do we progress Luke becoming this holy knight?
Right.
And I never really, like, I feel like a lot of people think that of him, but especially now, and seeing this again, like I said earlier, I don't think that's an accurate way to look at Luke.
I mean, you got to think about it, right? Like the first, like A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie, like Luke gets just like strokes of luck basically, and just like does everything right. Like he blows up the Death Star. Like,
Yeah, like let's not undersell how like wild it was that worked.
right, exactly. Like he's like a, I don't want to say like a Mary Sue, because he's a male character, but also just like that concept.
I don't necessarily like the term, but I do think that if people want to say that Rey is one of those, I think you can easily say that in the first two films, or maybe like the first film and a half, so is Luke.
Well, yeah, I think in at least in the first movie and a half. In the first movie, I think it's okay that he's good at all these things, because in Empire Strikes Back, you can tell from the get-go that he's like his hubris is like off the chain.
I saw a lot of Hayden Christensen, Anakin, and Luke this time.
Well,
like,
yeah, Luke from the beginning of Empire, in my opinion, just like he thinks that he's hot stuff, essentially. And he goes to Dagobah and he's like,
you want the impossible.
Yeah, like he's just whiny like he always is. And then, you know, he goes against what Yoda and Obi-Wan are saying.
Yeah.
Don't go fight Vader because you're going to lose and your friends are going to die. And he does it anyways. And I think that is like that's like a pivotal moment in his character.
Yeah, this was like a big thing that I was thinking about as my takeaway for the movie, as far as like how I think of Luke Skywalker now. Because I do think with The Last Jedi, seeing Luke that way, going back to see him in this, I think that there are like signs in this movie.
Signs for what though? Like
it's just like the way that his character progresses to the point that we see him in Last Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Because he's dipped his toe in the dark side several times in this movie. More times we will see in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also in the next movie too. He does. But.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And he's proven that like there's nothing really wrong with that. And I think Luke as a hero is interesting. Luke as a character is interesting because he proves that the Jedi are wrong. And like Yoda's entire speech, Obi-Wan's entire speech, everything they try to impress on Luke is the old Jedi. What you were talking about with the new Jedi Order being very different than the old Jedi Order. And just sort of what we see of him in the next movie, he kind of like rejects a lot of Jedi tradition and he does his own thing. And it is a balance of Jedi and like dealing with your emotion and confronting it like Anakin. I see a lot of Anakin and Luke in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's intentional.
Right, but it never stood out to me this much.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's also, it has to be said with, the way that we're watching these movies only lends itself for us to be making those parallels even more.
For sure.
You know, I think Luke wanted to be like contrarian, I guess, to Yoda and Obi-Wan on Dagobah, only to realize that they were probably right in the end.
Yeah.
In a way, I see where you're coming from, but I also think that he learns a valuable lesson from that.
I'm interested to watch Return again next week, because I think the way I look at Luke at that movie, I think is gonna be make or break on his character arc leading into the sequels. Because if I see more of him the way I saw him in this movie, then I think that a lot more people should watch him in this order, like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
because there's a clear arc I'm sensing now with hindsight.
I personally, like, I know we're not talking about this movie, but I never had a problem with the way Luke was portrayed.
Yeah, I just appreciate it way more now.
Yeah, it just, I think it always made sense.
Yeah,
But,
me too. I thought that, but I'm just saying now that I really see it.
Yeah.
What about Vader? Vader really gets a chance to step up in this movie as an antagonist, as a cinema villain.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
What do you think?
he's kind of still like a little bit one-dimensional, in my opinion. Up
Can-
until like the very end.
Divulge on that a little bit, like, because when we do see him, a lot of the time it's just him talking to his underlings, being like, "Do this, do that, help me,
Yeah.
do this for me." Like, what do you take away from all that?
So like the way that we've watched it, we've seen Anakin Skywalker progress into Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once he becomes Darth Vader and like episode 4 and 5, he's kind of just like a completely different person. And maybe that's just because that's what he is now,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. Like the only time that I actually like saw something coming from Vader in this movie other than like the very end was when he like first had his little commune with the Emperor.
Sure. Okay.
And the Emperor was like the son of Anakin Skywalker and stuff like that.
I think that I mentioned this last week that I had a big disconnect between episode 3 Darth Vader, episode 4 Darth Vader. I couldn't see Anakin in that Vader in 4. This was the first time I've looked at Vader and I see like, oh, Anakin is in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of the scene with the Emperor, like just seeing him kneel to him again.
I think it has a lot to do with it.
It might, yeah.
Especially since the name Anakin Skywalker is mentioned, honestly.
Well, sure, but like that's not like where I'm really coming from with it. I mean, like as far as making it make sense that this is a character that I saw as a child and now is this character.
Yeah.
It like clicked for me.
Yeah.
Because in 4 it did not.
Well, I mean, I would say that like he definitely gets a little bit more of depth in this movie, but I still like wasn't super convinced.
It's definitely subtle.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that comic strip they added to the like graphic novel version of this movie? It was a moment that Anakin had with the dismembered 3PO where he recognized it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was like looking at it, and then he got interrupted by a stormtrooper before it like clicked in his brain. But I just thought that was a really cool thing, and I think that adds to your case too of like there's a lot more connection between this Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker than there was in A New Hope.
Yeah, if we want to bring comics in too, in the crawl, we didn't mention the crawl this episode, but I don't think we needed to.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it is, to be honest.
But the line of like Vader's hunting down Luke Skywalker, the leader of this group of rebels.
Mm-hmm.
The canon answer.
Freedom fighters.
Freedom fighters, thank you. There's a comic that we've talked about on the show before. Boba Fett finds out Luke Skywalker's name after he blows up the Death Star, tells Vader about it. That happens between 4 and 5. So, beginning of 5, Vader knows Luke is his son. He knows that there's someone using the name Skywalker.
Yeah, he's not sure exactly what's going on until he has that thing with the Emperor.
The Emperor, and he's like, search your feelings, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess like the kneeling to the Emperor, I think might be part of it too, because I do think you have a point there. And it was cool seeing the Emperor in this, you know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he was very briefly in it.
Yeah,
It's like Snoke and Force Awakens. Essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like the Emperor was nothing until 6.
Yeah.
As far as like release order,
Right.
you know.
Emperor not even mentioned in A New Hope.
I don't think so.
Actually, yes.
No, he is like
He
the
is
Emperor
mentioned.
once is based on something like that.
Yeah, he said he also dissolves the Senate too.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about so Vader? Obviously, we have the climactic finale between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite lightsaber fights in all of Star Wars. to
I
be honest with
agree.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
There's
awesome fight.
so much emotion there. And it's cool because like Vader's absolutely toying with Luke the entire time.
I like that there's a moment where you can tell that he's like struggling.
Who, Vader?
Yeah. There's a moment because there's at the beginning he's using the one-handed, right?
Yeah.
He's just like blocking everything. He's like this kid.
Yeah.
Then he evades the cryo freeze and he's like, all right, there's something here.
Too easy.
Yeah. And then I think it's once he falls down into that secondary stage of the fight, he starts doing two-handed, way heavier strikes, and like Luke is able to dodge them. You know, like there's that thing where he just like goes real hard, he misses Luke, and he cuts down that pillar next to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can see like Anakin becoming tested there.
Yeah.
And I like that because I do think, yeah, Vader's this super imposing character. Luke severely underprepared for this fight, but he's still got like some fight in him because Vader, like, I think he's breathing heavier too. Like there's a moment that he realizes like, oh, this kid has something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, Luke does get a nice pot shot in on Vader too at some point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So
Yeah.
Do you guys ever see that meme that's like when you're playing with your little cousin and you know you went a little too hard and it's like this exact like a screen grab of Vader cutting off Luke's hand?
That's funny. Any like, yeah, I think that might be my favorite lightsaber fight.
I think it's up there for me. I don't know if necessarily it's my favorite, but
So far, I think it's my favorite out of our viewings.
I think, yeah, it's up there right next to
Anakin Obi-Wan is your favorite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this might be number one.
Yeah, because we talked about it last week too. I really like the Shakespearean kind of lightsaber fights. I appreciate them.
Yeah.
And this is it, like, done perfectly.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
You think Jedi would be talking to each other that much, like for real, if they're actually
I
fighting?
hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to do. You know.
they're all like Shakespearean scholars.
Yeah.
How was your Wednesday?
I guess like language too, and again tying it to Rogue One with the "Don't choke on your aspirations" when he chokes out Nita and he's like, "Apology accepted, Captain Nita."
Yeah.
I was like, he's still cocky, he's still Anakin.
Yeah, he's got some good one-liners.
Yeah,
for sure.
Speaking of one-liners, Han is the king of one-liners in this movie.
yeah, he's got a lot of good ones.
This is one of the most quotable Star Wars movies.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. It's Yoda's in here first off, so yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, I know is quoted all the time.
That one, yeah. One of my favorite things about this movie is all the scenes of Yoda, or that there's this one scene about Yoda like just like describing the Force to Luke, and it's like 5 minutes of them just like sitting like in Dagobah,
Yeah.
and the music, man, and like all that stuff. It's just like prime Star Wars for me.
Fun fact, John Williams, well, I guess now his second favorite piece that he's done for Star Wars is Yoda's theme. Because I saw Boston Pops did like a tribute night to John Williams once, and they had like interviews with him playing between sets. And before they did some of the Star Wars ones, he was like, "Oh, at the time the Yoda theme was my favorite one because it was just like childlike, full of wonder." His current favorite, Rey's theme.
Rey's theme's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
So we're close.
Yeah, we're close.
What do you guys think about Yoda as a character? Sorry to diverge you. 'Cause
No,
he was
that's a good thing to bring up. Yeah.
he was kind of like
Kooky.
goofy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. No.
He starts hitting R2D2
Yeah.
like with the flashlight, right?
Yeah. I think it's charming, you know, like, because I think it's obviously intentional. It's Yoda testing him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not fully by his own volition, because how long has he been on that planet by himself?
I think Yoda like low key lost his mind a bit.
Yeah. Guess
He's-
that happens when you go into isolation.
You brought up isolation like a few. Yoda's isolation.
Yeah, go into exile.
Yeah.
Stop
It's
it.
a Jedi
right
thing
now.
to do.
It is a Jedi thing to do.
Favorite moment. Is it the lightsaber fight for you?
Favorite moment of this movie?
Yeah, because we said set piece earlier, but do you have a favorite like moment or like a character interaction or something?
Yeah, it's actually really specific.
Okay.
It's when Lando, Chewbacca, and R2D2 and C-3PO are trying to escape Bespin, and they're trying to get the door open, and they can't get the door open, and they're getting chased by all the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But R2D2 like opens the door, and like the music like swells at that like exact moment. It's just like absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars, period. It's like very specific, but
Yeah, I get what you mean. Because, like, in my head, one of my favorite things to picture, when, like, if I'm, like, listening to Star Wars music or something, I don't think this has ever been a scene that's been done, but that scene has vibes of it, is, like, making a quick escape onto a ship there's rain, obviously, because I love rain in Star Wars, and then just like looking out back at the enemy or something. Like that is like quintessential Star Wars for me.
Yeah, I mean, like it kind of gives you that vibe. Like I've seen it so many times, but like you're kind of like, are they gonna make it?
Yeah.
Are they gonna die here?
That happens a couple times in this movie.
Yeah,
And they do it really well.
yeah.
Like 3PO running through Hoth to get on the Falcon before they take off.
The suspense is real in this movie.
It is. Pat, what about you? Do you have like a favorite standout moment?
Yeah. It was when Han was describing how they were gonna escape the Imperial cruisers, the battleships, and then Leia was just like, "What? So we're just gonna float away like the rest of the garbage, or we're gonna float away like the rest of the garbage?" And I was like, "I relate, sister."
Yeah, I love how there's like moments like that, like because that moment stuck out to me too, because like it just shows how clever Han is, because he has a history with the Empire and he knows the protocol.
Yeah. What do you think about like the dynamic between Han Solo and Leia? Like,
And Leia.
yeah, like they really like start to hit it off in this movie.
Yeah, I like it. Han is very like forward, you know,
Yeah, maybe a
almost
little
abrasively so.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, he was.
And I like hindsight. Yeah, like Leia has feelings for him, you know, but like he was a little pushy.
Yeah.
My hands are dirty too.
I like that scene. I like that moment.
It made me a little uncomfortable.
Sure, like because she's
yeah.
clearly hesitating there, but like I like the arc of their relationship, and that's like a good middle marker for it.
The banter that they have in this movie is great.
It's so good. I love their back and forth so much.
Their screen, the chemistry they have on screen.
And I think that's a lot of why it's my favorite storyline compared to the two.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about how Han Solo can never just get a second to kiss someone? Like in Solo, he got pulled away too, and then in Empire, he got pulled
3PO
away by
shows up.
3PO.
Yeah.
Getting blocked.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Leia too. Leia is a standout for me in this movie. I have a lot of standouts, but
Yeah, they're all standouts.
yeah. Leia, again, I guess laying the foundation for where we go with her, like seeing her really lead the army, plants the seeds, you know? And it's
Just-
cool to see where she came, how she began.
From those like very first scenes on Hoth too.
Yeah.
She was gonna stay behind, man.
Yeah.
She was gonna die there.
General Leia.
Yeah.
I like her a lot in this movie.
Biggest thing about this movie, I just like how dark it is and how the Empire wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking about this. Are you like one of those Empire guys, or are you like good guys for the win?
Oh no, on my car I have a Rebel Alliance sticker.
Okay.
But I do like movies where like bad guys win.
Yeah. Me too.
And this is like the epitome of like,
Yeah.
good guys are screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like when a director is bold enough to make that decision.
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot.
The Empire certainly did strike back.
They did.
I think I said this before on the podcast, but like, can you imagine living in the 70s?
Having to wait 3 years,
Having to
yeah.
wait 3 years. Oh, man.
Well, technically 80s now.
80s, yeah.
1980 was Empire.
Well, still.
Yeah.
That
3
would
years.
drive me nuts.
Yeah. What about you? Are you a like Empire guy or Rebellion?
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of both, if I'm being real.
Balance. It's all about balance.
Because I loved the story mode in Battlefront 2.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
specifically my favorite part was playing as Inferno Squad for the Imperial Army. So I'm not sure, man.
Yeah.
Felt good shooting those rebels though.
I'm gonna clip that out. Yeah, like I kind of fall on the middle too. I lean more Rebellion because, like, yeah, but like I really love Empire because the Empire won.
Yeah.
And obviously Vader's cool. Love Kylo Ren, but like the bad guys in Star Wars are cool, but they're not like my favorite. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, that doesn't mean that I don't like the Empire.
Yeah,
'cause-
like I really, really, really like the Empire.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, like as like a viewing experience,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. For
As
sure.
far as like, it's just like
as far as their mass atrocities, I can condemn that.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Because like Vader's iconic, you know. The Empire is iconic. The theme, Imperial March, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah. Was this the first? Yeah. So this wasn't. That was
First instance of it, because we talked about the score for New Hope also.
Han and Leia's theme was also in this.
Han Solo and the Princess. That's another one. I saw John Williams play that live.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did you go to Tanglewood?
I did.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that was a good time.
There's some Massachusetts talk here.
It was pouring the entire time.
That sucks.
I know. Somebody opened for him, and it was like, okay, it was overcast, and I was on lawn. But when he came out, it was like already 20 minutes into pouring, and Star Wars was the last thing he did.
Was it this year?
Not this past summer, the summer before.
I know he did. He does one every year.
Yeah, I want to go again. Like, if you haven't seen John Williams, I recommend going because that was an experience.
Did you feel like you were in a Star Wars movie with the rain coming down? You're like, oh, my favorite scenes.
Camino.
If you played any of that music, yeah, I would. But it's just cool hearing him and like his stance on everything, because he had so many talks with George about this world and getting the music to be another character for it all.
I like how he's rounding out all 9 movies.
Me too.
It
feels
him.
good.
It's all him, baby.
9 is gonna have, I believe, every main Star Wars theme. That was a quote I heard once.
I'm sure. Like,
Duel of the Fates again.
I hope so.
Johnny Dubs has his work cut out for him, huh?
Yeah.
He's got it on lock. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's true.
I hope episode. I know we're going on tangents at this point, but
Yeah,
like
whatever.
the movie's good. Okay.
Yeah, the movie's good.
You like it, we like it. Let us talk for about 10 minutes.
We all like it.
I hope like 9 is John Williams' like magnum opus. I hope it's the best piece of work he's ever done as far as the score goes. I know it could just be greatest hits, but I just hope it really delivers.
I have a feeling it's probably just gonna be greatest hits. But anything he does. Rules.
But like, if you take a step back and look at those greatest hits and make them work together, that's impressive.
Yeah. I didn't even know that he said that all the themes are gonna come back. So I do want to hear Duel of the Fates.
I read that like a year ago, I think. So I don't know if things have changed.
I mean,
at this point.
I would say it's probably true.
Yeah. 9's gonna have a lot of fan service.
Yeah. So,
Do you have any final things about Empire before we like get into ranking territory?
other than it rules,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, same. Fun fact that I wish I mentioned last episode, but I didn't get the chance to. My high school graduation, instead of pomp and circumstance, we walked to the song at the end of A New Hope when they're getting a medal.
Oh,
I would have been weeping.
I never realized that until I like remember that. I was like, oh yeah, I should have mentioned that.
That's cool.
Would you
though.
go to Star Wars High?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wish I went there.
My dad and
all
I have
around
like a
prep?
strained relationship because of it. Because like, you know, he's not. I tried to make a New Hope, or never mind. I tried to make a joke about my dad being Darth Vader. He's not. He's a nice guy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this just like, I think this is clearly it's the movie that elevated Star Wars to be a cinematic thing, not just like a fandom thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a well-made film.
I know I touched on it at the beginning. Like, I am blown away by how well this movie is made
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's beautiful.
compared to everything we've watched so far. This movie is made incredibly.
Yeah, I would say Rogue One's also incredible.
Sure, like there's some very like visually appealing stuff in Rogue One, but
Yeah,
like
so far.
yeah, just again like Irvin Kershner is a blessing for this movie.
I think he was a blessing for the franchise.
Yeah.
Without his direction.
I'm glad Lucas decided to take a step back.
Yeah, which is kind of silly because like I don't know how he thought directing all 3 prequels was okay. But whatever.
Yeah.
Remember that thing that really worked? Let's not do it this time.
You want to rank this thing?
Sure. Yeah. Let's go for it. I have my ranking right here.
All right. Pat, do you want to go first?
Yeah, my list has shifted,
Okay.
I believe. So, you know, same, starting from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 and 2, obviously. And then third from the bottom, I have Rogue One. Number 3 on my list is caught in the map.
Pat, can you just go?
Yeah, okay.
Number
okay.
6 is this.
Oh, God, I'm lost in the numbers now.
You said
My third favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith. My second favorite movie
okay.
is Solo. And my first favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back.
Where's A New Hope? Is that 4?
Yeah, no, I messed it up. You guys go. You guys go. I'll go last.
At least write them down.
I know. I have to start doing that.
Mike, go ahead.
Okay. So starting from my least favorite to my most favorite, Attack the Clones, Solo, Phantom Menace, Rogue One, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
So Empire's my number 1.
Cool. So number 7 for me is Phantom Menace. Number 6 is Attack of the Clones. 5 is Rogue One. 4 is Solo. I did do the switch I was talking about last week. 3 is A New Hope. 2 is Revenge of the Sith. And number 1 is Empire Strikes Back.
Nice. We have the same top 3.
Nice, yeah. We have good taste.
Nice.
Pat, you're pretty similar too for the top 3, right?
Actually, no.
What's your top 3?
I cannot read my list again. I want
Sure, go for
Redemption. 7, Phantom Menace. 6, Attack of the Clones. 5, Rogue One. 4, Revenge of the Sith. 3, A New Hope. 2, Solo. 1, Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. Yeah.
You think Solo's better than A New Hope?
I liked it, man. Get off
All
my
right.
back.
Hey, I can like level with him there. I think Solo is very, very fun. And
yeah.
if I had to choose right now, if I ever wanted to watch A New Hope or Solo, I'd probably watch Solo.
Fair enough.
And I remember for our last podcast that we did, I had Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy up so high on that list.
Yeah.
Based on just like, I really enjoyed watching it. I'm a dumb guy, so like something that's like fun, I'll be like,
Hey, I mean, like, if you like it, then
that's
Yeah,
true.
because I mean, like, I don't think the entire purpose of our rankings and the reason we have individual rankings is because I don't want to level with you guys on these opinions.
no. I just,
You know?
I don't know. It's just that not trying to lambast your opinion here, Pat.
Oh,
but
feel free to.
Oh no, yeah, honestly, and I was kind of joking.
yeah.
I think for all intents and purposes with the show, people for advice should stick to you guys as opposed to what I'm saying.
No, well, I like hearing your rank because the thing is, we have a very similar bottom rank.
Yeah,
So like 7, 6, 5 is the same.
I've definitely ranked Phantom Menace higher than all.
Yeah.
You two.
that's true.
Like I feel bad that Solo's gonna get bumped out of the top 5 because I really like that movie, so I might finagle that as we go on. But
I'm just thinking about like ahead. This is gonna get a little difficult.
yeah, sure.
Finding places for the rest. Of
I
these
think
movies.
so. Yeah. Question for you now, for both of you: do you think your number 1's gonna change based on your history with the series?
Like my gut reaction is no.
Okay, Pat.
I don't know. I think it might.
If mine changes, if my number 1 changes, I will eat a hat.
You'll eat a hat. Eat that hat.
On camera?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Thank God.
I hope The Rise of Skywalker is like the best movie ever.
Damn it!
now.
I forgot about that one.
You can't do it. I will have barbecue sauce for you on that table to wolf down that hat.
Because like this is what happens when we
This is a
record.
Patreon exclusive, right?
This is
there.
what happens when we record at night. But I mean, I could easily just lie. I wouldn't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. But like
this is the
no,
table of truth. Okay.
right? But no, but I'm just like I really think Empire is probably the best Star Wars movie.
I'm
I'm not just saying it because that's the popular thing to say. I really think it is the best.
Yeah. I mean, it is the most popular. It is one of the more popular Star Wars movies for a reason.
Yeah, like it's not an interesting pick, but
No, but I mean,
like, have you seen the movie?
but it's Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. So that was an episode. Next week is a slightly different week. We're taking a break from reviewing the saga. Next week.
Oh, true, James.
Next week, next episode, episode 8 of Jedi Knights, we will be discussing probably a couple stories that happen between now and Monday when we record. But
It's a short week for news though as well.
yeah, true, because we're recording it on a Thursday today. Because later tonight, Jedi Fallen Order comes out. The first third-person action narrative Star Wars game we've gotten in over a decade.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for it. I know you're real excited for it.
Yeah, did you pre-order it?
I'm doing it when I get home. And
Nice.
I'm gonna install it so that way at midnight I can just hop right in.
I did that as well.
Can I ask you a continuity question? Is this game going to be on our rating scale?
No.
No.
Because
okay.
we're not ranking Mandalorian either.
But
Like
it's-
we're giving it
yeah.
like a review, and like basically the next episode of Jedi Knights is gonna be us giving impressions of what we think of however far we get. We'll find a common ground of like where to cut it off. Because I'm sure between you, me, if Pat's getting it, and Jack Martin,
Is Jack Martin going to be on the next ep?
as of Thursday, 1, he's still alive, and 2,
Jack
yeah.
is still alive.
Jesus, man.
The first episode we made it sound like Jack
He
died.
actually died.
So, yeah, Jack is coming up. He's going to be on a couple episodes in the near future because we're stacking him up on Monday because of the holiday. So, he's going to be joining us to talk about Jedi Fallen Order.
Nice.
So look for that next episode, and then we will return the week of Thanksgiving to bring you Return of the Jedi, reviewed and ranked in the Skywalker saga.
And after that, we only have 2 more left, huh?
No, don't say that, man.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're like already more than halfway done with this show. That's crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, time's flying, man.
So
It's been a blast.
it has
Yeah.
been.
It's gonna continue being a blast.
We're like
will be.
we're like what 5 weeks out from the Rise of Skywalker at this point.
Yeah.
December 20th.
Yeah.
A little longer, but still.
So that was an episode.
That was an episode.
Yeah.
This is what you get when we record at night. Mike, if
I feel like we record at night a lot.
but this is like night.
This is night.
you know?
night,
Daylight
yeah.
savings, and I
Yeah,
understand.
it is 6:30 right now.
I wish we shut like the house lights off and just ran off our staging.
Maybe on Monday.
I might be a fan of that idea.
Mike, if the people want to find you online, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Fantastic. Anything you want to shout out? Any work you're doing?
Well, no.
Okay. Nothing of note.
Nothing of that.
Pat, what about you?
Twitter at the P Moron,
Very nice.
and I'm not doing anything.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, guys.
Well, where can the people find you, Christian?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris N. Buckley.
You got anything to plug?
I do.
Okay.
I'm just being considerate to you guys. Okay. YouTube.com. If you're watching us lose our minds, you're on youtube.com/joyclicks. The show can be listened to on audio format on Spotify, iTunes, whatever other podcast service you listen to. Just search Jedi Knights or Joyclicks. You should find it. We also have Patreon. Patreon.com/joyclicks is where you can go to get this podcast early every week, usually on Wednesdays. Not this week because of the recording schedule. But yeah, you get it 2 days early for just $2 a month. And if you want to throw a few more dollars our way every month, you can get some special perks like ad space in this show and other beneficial things.
Shout outs. Also, if you pledge $50, I will do
What is it this week?
a 10-hour live stream of me doing the Tauntaun impression until I nail it.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
Can't top that.
no, I can't top that at all.
If someone does this and I have to do all those things,
What was the other one too? You have to like.
Do someone's homework.
it was like do their homework, fight their enemy. Like it was all over the place, man.
So that's going to do it. Until next time, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the force be with you.
Love you guys.
General Kenobi.